Hey guys, welcome to another art vlog, and tonight is a weeknight, so I don't really have too many things planned for this vlog. I really just wanted to continue working on this piece and really just making more progress out of it. I thought I would get more progress on it by now, but really I'm still kind of in the base layer of the pastels. I did go ahead and start layering in the mungyo on top of my base Pastel base drawing, but there's still a lot to do. I think I'm getting there. I did realize though that I don't have any more blending sticks, and I know that I should just probably make some blending sticks myself instead of buying them, but I really liked these blending sticks that I got from Jerry's Artorama. It wasn't too expensive, but I mean, obviously you can easily make one of these by yourself, but I'm just really lazy right now, and I think I'll just try to make do with rubbing with my fingers or using paper towels for the moment. But I think I am at a point where I will begin to start blending some of the colors together. And like I said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my first pass with the actual colors that I'll be using. And so one of the reasons why it helps to create a sketch in the beginning is because I try to do swatches, especially with pastels. Sometimes I forget which colors I used, and so that's why I kind of scribbled in some swatches in this sketch drawing just to remind myself what colors I used. And I did swatch this one, but I think this is the one that I used for that green. And so I think that's one beauty of working with pastels, is that you can really create such a wide variety of colors, even though you'd think, oh, you're just kind of drawing like crayons. I mean, how do you make something cool out of that if you're just drawing straight on? But once you start blending, depending on what the layer is underneath, you can get some really, really interesting effects and color ranges. So that's why in this sketch, I'm having a hard time thinking now what colors I used. And it's hard to tell now because they're all blended together, but I think that's one way I could think about my art vlogs, is it's a way for me to really document the process of my work and think through the different techniques that I've used. Because sometimes when you get into working on a piece, it becomes very easy to forget how you did it the first time. And that's why I think I like sketches in the beginning, because it really is the first pass at something. So it's your idea in its most truest and rawest form, if that makes sense. So sometimes when I'm working on a piece and I have a prior initial sketch study of it, sometimes when I compare the two, I feel like I always end up liking the sketch more, even though it's incomplete and unrefined. I feel like your first sketch of something is always the most honest, and I think there's beauty in that, in a sense, because sometimes you get caught up in the process when you're creating something like this, something huge, something that takes time. When you're working on a quick, fast sketch, you have no time to really care about perfection. And so, I don't know, I'm just a big fan of sketching. So, a little about the room that I'm in. I'm actually sharing this office space with my boyfriend, and so that's why in the videos you don't get to see the other half of the room, and it's because that's his side, if that makes sense. And so sometimes when you watch my vlogs, you can kind of hear some background noise like keyboards clacking or voices or the TV or just something in the background. That's probably him. We have a really small space, so we just share this room, and I don't really have a studio. This is kind of my own little studio. But hopefully one day, you know, we'll get to have our own our own little space for ourselves. And my dream really is to have like a studio just for myself with all of my work and all of my art supplies. And so here's another good reason, and I'm not sure how well this is showing up on camera right now, but this is another reason why I like using the Pentel pastels as a base drawing, because when I start rubbing and start blending and mixing, that base layer is not gonna move because the consistency of those pastels are so hard, you know, as I mentioned, and they're not as quality, it stays put. And so when I use my Mungyo oil pastels, which are a lot creamier and a lot softer, that layer can begin to move and shift and change, but the base layer, which I like to peek through every now and then, stays the same and stays in its own place. And I just like how that looks, and I think this is one of the cool things about oil pastels is really there's just a lot that you can experiment with. I feel like this is a really fun medium to try. It's very workable, it's very versatile, it's very forgiving. And I think that's one of the things and one of the reasons why I'm such a frustrated painter is because I just get so worked up with the control of your paint and your water, and I just don't think I do a very good job of it. And when you make a mistake sometimes, it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to make it right again. But with pastels, I feel like it's definitely one of the most forgiving media out there, art media. So I wanted to give a close-up of what it looks like when I'm blending with a blending stick. So first of all, this is a really old one, and you can see I'm not using this tip because it has previous stains on it already, and so I'm using the end, and that's why this is all kind of jacked up now. But the point still is I can still use it to blend. And so you can kind of see, let me focus really quickly, that you have the base layer of the Pentel right there. And if I blend, you can see that the top layer moves, but that base layer is still pretty solid in there. And so I just take a pastel, my Mungyo pastel, and that's okay, we'll fix that later. Just take it in there, just to establish where the shadows are going to be. And then I take my blending stick paper and I just rub. And just like that, I get to spread the color, add a little texture. I think that's one thing that I love about pastels is the texture. depending on what technique you use, you can get some pretty cool effects. And so here, this is a spot, this is a good example of how that base drawing is really peeking through. Even if I rub a little bit, it gives like a really cool effect. And that mungyo is able to mix and move, but you still have that initial layer in there. What's cooking?
What?
What's cooking?
It's just chicken thighs.
I know, but what are you making?
It's like a lime cilantro chicken. Marinated it.
If you want some. Okay, so I think it's time for me to make a new blending stick. This blending stick that I was using earlier, as you can see, I already really frayed up the end and it's really getting hard to blend with this. And honestly, this size is not conducive for the size of drawing that I'm working on. So I'm gonna try to attempt to make my own blending stick. And so I've cut up some scrap pieces of paper, and I've seen some YouTube videos on how this is done, and by no means is this a formal tutorial. I'm just gonna kind of recreate from my recollection of the YouTube videos that I've seen. I'm just gonna kind of make my own version. And so in one of the videos, I saw that the longer your rectangle is this way, the thicker or the more ergonomic your little stump or your little blending stick is going to be. So we'll see if that is a correct assumption. And I honestly did not measure this. I don't know what measurement this is, but I just kind of cut a piece of paper up, and then I'm also just blindly going to cut a piece here to kind of make this shape. And that's exactly where we'll start rolling the piece of paper. And to kind of help us roll better, I'm just gonna do this and let the paper curl up a bit. And I'm a really bad roller when it comes to making these things. I just never get to seem to roll it tight enough. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but like I said, we are just gonna make our own thing. But also, I don't really need the very, very tight or very, very pointy piece. So I think from the videos I've seen, you can kind of start with a fold, you know, like that, just to get yourself situated, and really, as best as you can, just tighten that guy up. All right, we have this guy. right here. I don't know if I did that correctly, but it kind of resembles a little blending stick. And so I'm just gonna take this piece of tape around here, and we have our little guy right here. And so I actually have a box cutter and sandpaper just to refine this tip a little bit more, though like I mentioned, I really don't need a pointed tip because I'm not doing any fine detailing, but just to kind of get this a little bit more blending stick looking, I'm just gonna edge away with my box cutter like this. Use my sandpaper to rough out the edges a bit. And honestly, I think this is a really good shape for me because it's very wide and thick compared to this little guy that's very skinny and frayed. So I'm just gonna sand it down like this. Really, like I said, this is not an official blending stick tutorial, but I hope if you are interested in maybe trying out oil pastels and doing the same similar technique that I'm doing, I think this could get you started with your blending. Just a little bit more. So let's test this out, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because I have a few different colors going on in my work, I need to make multiple ones of these because I don't want to blend all the colors together, and that's not going to be good. So I'm most likely going to have to make another one, but I really like how this turned out, and let's go see if it works. All right, so we're gonna test out this blending stick that I just made, and I think I'm gonna use this as my green color blending stick. I need to make one for the orange and the purple, but let's see. Let's pick a spot that I've already covered pretty well. So somewhere around like here, maybe, since I just laid this down. Okay. Actually, I can't really tell. So I'm gonna take a piece of pastel. All right, so we're just gonna take this little spot here and add a little bit of color in it, just very crudely. And let's take our homemade blending stick. Oh, okay. It's not bad. I actually like it. In terms of the ergonomics of this thing, I like it better than the other one, but I think the blending stick that I was using earlier uses a rougher surface paper, which gives a different texture, but I think this is not bad as well. This paper is a lot softer than that one, but I think it gets the job done. And that's all that matters, really. So yeah, I think that works, and I'm gonna continue using this guy and make maybe a couple more. So I think I'm gonna end the vlog here tonight. Obviously, there's still a lot to get done, but I figured that at some point I'm gonna have to start on a new piece or work on something that I haven't finished before, because watching this for, 5 vlogs in a row, it's not gonna be very exciting, though it will be interesting to see the progress, once I get further along. I mean, I feel like I did a really good progress on filling in as much as I can on this part, but like I said, there's more to this than it seems right now. So till then, I will continue working on this and I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Bye!